I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. These lyrics have been around since 1971 from John Lennon's famous song called Imagine. In this song, Lennon explains how he yearns for a world where people can live in peace and harmony. From the beginning of Lennon's career, he engaged in social activism and wrote anthems of peace and viewed his life as a work of art through which he could give the world more meaning with every song he wrote. Lennon's childhood and early life affected his later life and the beliefs he's known for, along with many songs that he wrote. Traumatic events that he experienced in his childhood inspired his perspective on the world, and he experienced major success with his bandmates, and he inspired the world with them, and later in life influenced the world to accept one another and live in unison. In his early life, Lennon experienced traumatic events that inspired his creations and beliefs. His mother was never constant in his life, and she faded in and out, so he lived with his Aunt Mimi, who tragically died in a car wreck, which caused him to spiral into deep depression. According to Anthony DeCurtis' article on JohnLennon.com, Lennon's father was also absent for the majority of his life and actually didn't show up until Lennon started experiencing major success with the Beatles. His songs Mother and God confront these traumatic events that happened in his life with lyrics like Mama Don't Go and Daddy Come Home. These songs are emotionally raw and inspired his fans to confront traumatic events in their lives in the hopes of maybe moving on from them. Along with these low points in his life that inspired his emotionally raw songs, Lennon also experienced many positives. The Beatles provided Lennon with high points and extreme success in his career. According to Roger Unterberger's article on AllMusic.com, the Beatles were the most influential and innovative rock band of that era, and they introduced eclectic and an original type of rock and roll. Also, according to Unterberger on AllMusic.com, Beatlemania broke out in England and then eventually all over the world, with constant international touring and chart-topping singles. In April 1964, the Beatles had 5 top-selling singles in the U.S. and the top 2 spots in album charts. Also, according to Unterberger, no band has ever matched the dominance that the Beatles had over the popular music market. Despite this incalculable success, however, members of the Beatles eventually developed their different styles and started to fade. John Lennon started to go his separate way from his bandmates and became more involved in social activism. According to Biography Channel's article, Lennon married Yoko Ono in 1966, and together they developed many peace movements, one of which was remaining in bed during interviews. And they together wrote Give Peace a Chance, which became an anthem for pacifists. A few years later, Lennon wrote the famous Imagine, and the song was named the 3rd all-time best song by Rolling Stone magazine. Lennon's severe activism and his speaking out against the Vietnam War nearly got him kicked out of the country, but he continued to write these peace anthems until his tragic murder in 1980. Lennon's life ended way too early, however, he still left a large impact on the world. His peace efforts impacted people all over. He experienced tragic events that shaped his philosophy as an artist, and he experienced high points of success with and without his bandmates. His music, inspired by his early tragic life and his wife Ono, is still popular today and will be for many generations to come. Despite controversy in Lennon's life and strained relationships because of his stubborn beliefs, people all over the world can benefit by listening to his peaceful messages and possibly gain a more compassionate view and live together as one, as Lennon says.